Welcome back to Better Living. I'm joined now by Elasondra. We're going to talk about a serious topic, and I think it's one that people don't really know is an issue. I would have had no idea if it hadn't been brought to my attention. Human trafficking. Tell me why it's an issue here, what it's doing.
Well, it's an issue everywhere.
Yes.
But they have ranked Toledo #4 for human trafficking, the recruiting of human trafficking, meaning that because of the tri-state areas, the Indiana, Michigan, the borders, that it's easy for people to get in, get the girls, and get them out. But trafficking is just, it's a 300, 400 billion. It's the second largest network and industry besides drug trafficking and guns.
I had no idea, and to me, I mean, don't get me wrong, drug trafficking is bad and it affects a lot of lives, but this really is, like, it touches me. You know, it's very hurt. You think about these young girls. For somebody who doesn't really understand what human trafficking is, explain what people are doing.
Human trafficking is when a man takes a young girl and forces them into prostitution. And often it is, a lot of people think, well, it's always in the central inner city. No, it's not in the central inner city. A person is more susceptible to get tricked in a rural area than the central inner city, because the central inner city youth are aware already of the things that are going on. But these young girls that are on Facebook that live in the rural areas, they don't know who they're talking to. They can be talking to a 30-year-old man and think they're talking to a 16-year-old boy. And the men groom them, and they trick them into believing they're a boyfriend or they are a real good friend, and then the girl ends up telling all of her secrets to this person, and all he's doing is grooming them into the process of what he wants to do. And then he takes them, and often he gets them addicted to a drug, forces a drug on them, and often has them addicted, and then makes them perform these sexual acts.
That getting them addicted just gives him all the control then.
And the power, yes.
And that's really what is, I mean, that's what all of these type of crimes are. It's really about control and power.
Yes,
it's about
it is.
taking someone else's. When they take young girls out of our area, where are they taking them?
They can take them anywhere, wherever they feel that the most money is going to be made. And the reason this issue is so important to me, I am a survivor of human trafficking. I was kidnapped at 11 years old, and I was pimped out till I was 12 and a half years old, and I was rescued by a John who went to the police, and then they came and found me. So it's a passion that I have, and people don't understand the atrocities that happen to us when we go through these things. They don't understand that we are forced. We're still kids.
Yes.
You know, we're kids, so how can, you know, we're the victim. But a lot of times we become the prosecutor. We become the person that everybody is looking at as if we're bad, if we're taboo. People are finally starting to realize that these girls are victims. They did not choose. We didn't wake up one morning and say, okay, when I'm 11 years old, I didn't wake up one morning and say, when I grow up, I'm going to be a teenage prostitute, or I'm going to be a prostitute when I grow up. No, we had dreams, and we have lives, and we had dreams, and they are taken from these girls, and then they are beat down so terribly that their self-esteem is gone. And even when they are rescued, it's so hard to build back up their self-esteem. And that's why I voiced, and I started this program called S.T.A.R.S, because it's easier for a child to speak to me in the very beginning because I lived this life. I went through it personally, so when they're telling me things, I can truly say, I understand what you're saying because I lived it. But then in the same aspect, they also need the psychologicals, the social workers. But I believe that comes after the initial contact with a survivor.
11 years old, that is amazing to me, and not in a good way. I mean, that is absolutely heart-wrenching. I have a 10-year-old. She would have no idea. I mean, I just can't imagine the fear and the confusion and of her if someone took her. Your brain at 11 just wasn't mature enough to even process that. The fear, I think, more than anything, had to be overwhelming.
Well, yes, it was. But see, you have to understand, I came from a father who was a pimp and a mother who was a prostitute. I was taken from my parents at the age of 4, put into foster care, where the very first day I was sodomized and raped by the father and the son. So I came from that. So when I was taken at 11, I had saw so many things already, but I still didn't deserve to be taken and pimped out. But, so imagine, I had already saw a lot of this. So imagine a child like yours that hasn't saw any of it. That's, like you said, during the break when you were just talking, you said that you talked to your daughter on the phone and you just don't know how happy that made me feel, because that's what you need to do, talk to her till she gets on that bus, because you don't know what could happen. And what I'm trying to do now, I've been doing this since 2004. My passion now, and I believe in God strongly, because without him I know I would not be here. My passion now is to educate people like you, people like the community, and have workshops to educate these parents, and then have workshops with the kids also, so that they can see what is going on. I work with an international organization called Shared Hope International, and they are awesome, and they are just so with the human trafficking movement, and they have did a video called Chosen, and it is so good for the rural area people, because it's a Caucasian girl at 18 telling her story how she was tricked. And it's just an awesome take.
Well, I do think that people not in the inner city, perhaps people in these rural areas, have a definite false sense of security. We're going to talk more about the Green Light Project and Green Light event coming up, and some of these youth vibe sessions. Stick with us. We'll be right back on Better Living.